What is up, everybody, and welcome to our How To mini series. Now, hopefully you're here to get some knowledge, and this is the right place. Now, before you do anything, I want you to hit that subscribe button and tick that little bell notification, because you'll get to know when we publish videos, but also, and more importantly, and I'll come on to why that's important, you get notified when our live stream comes out on a Friday. Okay, so this video was filmed as part of our live stream that we do on a Friday at 7 o'clock UK time. Now, that show's called The Long Run Show. It also is a podcast, and you can get that on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. You can get that every week on those platforms. And these how-to videos are a part or taken out of those live stream sessions that we've done. So this video, you'll probably see me staring a lot in front of me, because I'm looking at like Wilco and admin and Tote and things like that. But basically, we're talking about the subject that this video is about, and that's where this content's come from. So again, most important than anything else, make sure you subscribe, get that bell notification, because then you'll get notified when we come out with the live stream on a Friday, 7 o'clock UK time, and you can tune into that live and be part of the audience, which is really awesome. Okay, so that's how it's going to work. The next part is me talking through the podcast, through the live stream, about the subject, and hopefully it helps you. And yeah, so we better get stuck in.
Okay, look, right. Marathon training is hard. And if you've decided that you want to take on well, all right, you've got ultra running, but arguably, one of the hardest things to do, right? Then I think it's worth knowing and putting up at the front end that there's some hard truths, right, that you need to know before you get onto this sort of marathon bandwagon, marathon train that you're going to be embarking on. So I tell you what, let's break it down. I'll start, right? So let's get first things first, right? When you get into it, is that after a couple of weeks, when it starts getting like hard, because you'll have those first few weeks of marathon training, your excitement levels or your motivation is going to come crashing down, because especially in winter marathon training, there's that, that great excitement. Yeah, I'm starting this marathon training. And after a couple of weeks, the mileage, settled in and everything's starting to kick on. Everything's going to start aching, and you've got to go out there and it's freezing cold and it's dark, and that motivation will be tested early, and people don't talk about it because there's doubts, right? There's like, you've got like several stages of doubt that kick in. You've got that, how the hell am I going to do 26 miles when you're on like a 15-mile run? And that will come, but it's that initial sort of or a doubting period of why am I doing this, and it sort of continues through it, and people don't talk about it. But there's stages throughout training where you're questioning yourself the whole time about, why am I doing this? I can't do this. How am I going to run 26 miles? I can't run 6 miles. I'm never going to be able to run that pace. How am I going to do this? All this sort of stuff. It's really, really, it can really be taxing, right? So I think actually that I've made sort of 2 points in a way. Funny, right? Shock. But I think it's worth noting that straight out, at some point, that motivation is going to drop off, and you're going to think, this is not for me. This is just not for me. I can't do this. There's no way in this world I can do this, right? And that motivation will drop. But you've got to give yourself a kick up the bum. And then it will come to that. Once that kicks in, you'll then get the sort of second thing, which is that you start questioning everything. You start saying to yourself, how the hell am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? And you start then second guessing yourself and questioning yourself throughout the process. And there are two things that people don't mention when getting into this marathon training business. I think, wanting to quit is a common theme that we find. There's a lot of people who give up. Phantom knee injuries, phantom back injuries, whatever it is. The mind plays tricks with you, and it talks you into something because it doesn't want to do it, and you are going to have that overwhelming feeling of wanting to quit, whether it be the whole thing or on a run or whatever. And actually, hold that thought because that makes me think about something else. But you're going to want to quit, right? Marathon training is hard. You're doing miles that you've never done before. You know, you maybe used half marathon training before this. It's a 12-week block, but you're doing big miles. You're having to run 20 miles. You have to go at it for 3.5 hours on your feet. It's so hard. People underestimate how hard marathon training actually is. So don't underestimate it, and get ready for that day when you're gonna want to quit. But you just got to ride that horse and just carry on. There's you're on this journey now. The train's left the station, people. There's no such thing as giving up in marathon training. But yeah, going back to what I was saying. Sorry, yeah, it's that quitting feeling can come from bad runs or missed runs, and both are actually effectively inevitable. Even in my experience, I still have really bad runs or I miss runs for whatever reason because life's life. Life gets in the way. You've got to remember, unless you're a full-time athlete like some of us, um, you're going to miss stuff. Life's, you have to go take the dog to the vets or pick the kids up because, whatever. That happens. And then at the same time, you can't then start thinking, I'm never going to be able to do this. I've not done my run. And try and catch up with runs. Because that will then lead into a bad run, and bad runs will happen. Bad runs happen all the time, but you just got to take a positive out of it. Even if it's, I'm going to be positive about my bad run, it doesn't matter. But you've got to take a positive out of the bad run because, again, I don't think people talk about it. It's all rose gardens and bunny rabbits when people talk about marathon training. It is bloody hard, people. Marathon training is so hard. And you've really got to be battling yourself. You're stopping that self guilt, questioning yourself. You're stopping yourself from quitting. You've got bad runs coming your way. You're missing sessions because of whatever. You've got everything being chucked at you, and you still got to go out and do these miles. It's incredibly, incredibly hard. Yeah, I think making sacrifices along the way is something that's not spoken about much. I mean, I feel sorry for Mrs. Ford, but you think how long you're out for a weekend? 3.5 hours on a Saturday. I'm out, and I'm pretty much in a marathon training block most of the time. Your life does get put on hold. Like a marathon training does take over your world. You've got to remember that, and you've got. I would say if you've got a partner, you want to ask them before you go into it and say, look, I'm going to have to sacrifice periods of time during this 16, 18 weeks because I've got to give a good shot at this because otherwise I'm going to turn up on the day and it's not going to happen or it's not going to go well. You need to have that conversation. I don't think people do that. I think they see the London Marathon ballot go and they go, yep, I'll have some of that. But actually, you need to have a conversation with it because it's a massive sacrifice, marathon training, because it takes up so much time, but also it engrosses you completely, whether it be running shoes or gels or whatever. You're thinking about it. You're talking about it. You're thinking about what you're going to eat because you've got to do your long run. All this sort of stuff. It literally crams in. So don't. Yeah, I think sacrificing and sacrifices is something that is not spoken about when marathon training. Yeah, good. Yeah, good way to finish. I think being patient is a good message through marathon training. And it is something that I tell my clients, but I don't think many people get told the same thing. And that's not blowing smoke up my own bum. It is really important to remember that it's a 16-week process for a reason. Sometimes it's longer, but it's a 16-week process for a reason. Okay. And it takes time to see a significant difference. There's always that period of time where it's really, really, awesome. Then it's really, really hard, and then it's really awesome again. Then it's really hard. But what you're doing is you're developing and you're building stamina. You're building that strength within your body and also in your mind. That all of a sudden it does start to click. Trust me, it does start to click because you go through those what we spoke about, the self-doubt, wanting to quit, and all that. And you get into those weeks, weeks 10, when you actually start to think, actually, I can do this. I feel pretty awesome. And that's what you got to remember is that it does take time. It's 16 weeks for a reason. But if you can ride that, that marathon horse, using the horse analogy again. It's like a bucking bronco at the start, and then you sort of bed him in a bit, and it smooths out over that period of time, and then you can ride for hours on end, and you can do it as a partnership, and that is the same sort of thing. You just got to ride it out. It will take time, but you'll be just fine. So just believe in the plan. I always say, believe in the plan. Be patient, because it will come together, and you'll be just fine. But yeah, just be patient. Yeah, I think there's some good points there. There's probably some hard truths, I would say, about marathon training. But it's good to talk about them. Actually, it is good to talk about them, because I don't think they get. I said it all gets painted in, rose petals and rose gardens. And marathon training is awesome. It's not. It is really hard, people. Marathon training is really hard. So I think actually to know those sort of however many things we've spoken about before you get into it is actually a good shout.
Right, guys, so hopefully that was useful. Let me know in the comments, was that super useful? Was that super interesting? If you've got something you want to talk about on the show, email in at longrunshow@gmail.com. And we say we'd love to have you live on the show, 7 o'clock every Friday. If you can't catch us there, then make sure you listen to us on your favourite podcast provider. All right, that's it for me, guys. I'll catch you later.